going to start right now. So give it a few seconds. Go ahead.
Good morning. This is a public meeting convened to review the fiscal year 2022 Indiana Arts Commission Arts Organization Support Grant Program applications for Region 9. I'm Tricia Gilson from the Columbus, Indiana Architectural Archives in Columbus, Indiana, and I will be facilitating the panel today. Today is April 23rd, 2021, and we are meeting online and streaming live for applicants and the public to observe. There's no contact between the panel and the audience about the disposition of applicants before, during, or after the panel meeting. This meeting will be recorded and made available upon request. At this time, I'll individually invite each of the panelists and then staff to introduce themselves. Panelists will state their name, occupation, and where they are from in the state, and staff will state their title and role. Let's start with the panel, and I will start by introducing each of you so you can share about yourself. So let's see, Erin Banks, you want to start us off?
I can. Good morning, everyone. I am, as Erin Banks, I am the director of Jackson County Tourism. My office is in Seymour, Indiana, although my home is in the county seat of the fine little town of Brownstown. This is my first time on the panel, and I'm really excited about being able to do this. So it'll be an interesting morning.
Thanks. Lori Feldbauer, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Lori Feldbauer, and I live in Batesville. I work for Homeland Security on the grants program, and this is my first time on the Arts Council Grant Committee.
Thanks, Lori. Erin Hawkins.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Erin Hawkins. I'm the marketing director with the Columbus Area Visitor Center.
And Sherry Wright.
Sherry, you're muted.
Sorry, I knew I would do that. I'm Sherry Wright. I'm Associate Director of Arts Indiana, which is Regional Arts Council for Region 6. We're Regional Arts Partner with the Indiana Arts Commission, and we're located in Terre Haute.
Sherry. And Kris Roberts.
I am Kris Roberts. I'm with the Columbus Area Arts Council, and we are the Regional Arts Partner for Region 9.
Thanks, Kris. Let's move on to the IAC staff. Please provide your name, title, and role here today. And let's start off with Benjamin Thomas.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Thomas. I'm the Indiana Arts Commission intern and the technical support for this panel.
And Maya Michelson.
Hi, I'm Maya Michelson. I'm Deputy Director of Operations, and I'm here to do a brief welcome at the beginning of the panel and to just observe. Thanks. Thanks for everybody for being here.
Thanks, everyone. So now we'll begin the panel review, and this is how the process will work. The panel will first review the... Maya, were you going to say something?
I was gonna say a few words, and then I'll kick it back off to you, Tricia, to start the actual panel process. So that's on me. That's all right. No worries. No worries. I got my speech. I'm ready to say it, so I'll say it, and then I'll get out of the way. Thanks, Tricia. Before we get started, Tricia's ready to kick us off. I want to share a few words on behalf of the Arts Commission. First and foremost, a big thanks to panelists for sharing your time and experience. We've got some first-time panelists on here. Thank you so much. We've got some experienced panelists on here. Thank you so much as well. You've all participated in specialized training to prepare for this work, which this year included how to reduce implicit bias in the review process. And you've spent a lot of hours reviewing these applications and lending your expertise to ensure a high quality process for both the applicants and for our citizens. So to all here and to all of you listening in, I want to say a few words about why this year's panel process is different. If you're a longtime panel observer, you'll notice that. We've been very clear from the beginning of this upcoming grant cycle in our guidelines, in our application, and in our training that our focus would be on what's most important right now. And that is to responsibly support our arts organizations at this critical time. And for this grant cycle, that means supporting organizations that demonstrate they are operating and will continue to operate during the FY22 grant period. As a result of that focus, you might hear very little dialogue and feedback, and that in no way reflects a lack of dedication to a thorough evaluation process. It is merely a reflection of this unique time and the unique process that we've instituted here at the Arts Commission for this upcoming grant cycle year. So thanks so much. On with the show. Tricia, I'm going to hand it back over to you. Thanks so much.
Great, thanks, Maya. So we'll begin the panel review, and this is how the process will work. The panel will first review the application pool for operating support, and then for the merit award consideration. Each has a distinct process, and for both processes, if a panelist has a conflict of interest, that panelist will be placed on hold, moved out of the Zoom room, and while the application is being reviewed. So first I'm going to go over the review process for operating support. In this process, panelists will be coming to consensus. They'll use a summary sheet that has the results of their individual pre-panel assessments, which were based upon organizational resiliency. The panel will come to consensus for each application to make one of the following recommendations to the Indiana Arts Commission. First is yes, recommend for funding the application as is. No, do not recommend funding the application. Or yes, recommend funding the application with required modifications. And the required modifications will be determined by the panel. This means IAC and partners will follow up with applicants after the panel to collect information to ensure panelist concerns are addressed. Once a decision has been made for each application, the staff will record the decision. And once the review for operating support is complete, we'll then move on to the merit process, or if we need to, we'll take a break. So for the merit review process, all applicants that elected to submit for merit consideration were assigned a reader. And today the panel will use the reader process to discuss applications. After the first reader is finished, I'll open the discussion for final comments. And in the interest of time, we're only looking for new, additional, or opposing viewpoints. Once the application has been reviewed by the full panel, we ask the panel to update their scores in the online system. It's common for scores to change as a result of this broader discussion, and these scores save automatically. So are there any questions that anyone has? No? Okay, so let's begin. So we'll start with the operating support, and on the screen is a list of applications that will be reviewed today, and they're listed in alphabetical order. To begin review for operating support, panelists, please draw your attention to your resiliency assessment summary sheet sent by your program manager. We'll start a review in batches where there's consensus. So panelists, I want to draw your attention to the rows in green on your summary sheet. These are applications where the consensus to recommend the applications for funding. Take a moment to review the list in green. And do you have any concerns about recommending any of these applications for funding? And if you can do a shake of the head, yes or no, that would be great. Or a thumbs up, we're ready to move on. Okay. Okay, so the panel has reached consensus on the first three, on the first four organizations. So hearing no concerns, you've all given us a thumbs up. And staff, please take note, we have consensus. Panelists recommend the following applications for funding: Columbus Pro Musica, doing business as Columbus, Indiana Philharmonic; Dancers Studio Incorporated of Columbus; Dearborn Highlands Arts Council; the Columbus Symphony Orchestra Incorporated. So, next we're going to take a look at applications where there is a slight disagreement. For the following applications, the majority of you said yes, recommend for funding, but a few said yes with modifications. And it looks like we have one conflict of interest, and that is for the Batesville Area Arts Council. Lori Feldbauer has a conflict, and so I think Lori will be moved into the waiting room so that we can discuss first the Batesville Area Arts Council. So, sorry, I've lost my place in my script. So I guess the first question is, what is the concern that some of you had in this application? If you want to unmute yourself and so am I to understand that no one has a concern for this application? That you recommend funding this without a requirement, without a required modification?
Tricia, that sounds like what the panel is coming to.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So can the panel give me a thumbs up to indicate that you recommend supporting the Batesville Area Arts Council's application? So I saw Sherry give a thumbs up. Okay, thanks, Aaron, and both Aaron Banks and Aaron Hawkins. So the panel recommends that has consensus that the Batesville Area Arts Council should be funded as requested, without modification. Okay. So I think we can bring back Lori into the process. Welcome back, Lori. So we're now going to look in order at the other applications for each application and try to identify the concern. So the first is the Columbus Pro Musica. What is the concern that you had about this application?
Trisha, I think we have skipped something, or maybe I sent you the wrong portion
Oh, no,
of the
no, no.
script. So
You didn't. You know what? I jumped down on my other list. I'm sorry, I have too many lists in front of me. I think that we want to look at the Southeastern Indiana Dance Incorporated. Thanks, Kris. Does anyone have a concern? So it appears that no one has a concern. So that would mean that you are recommending that there's no requirement for modification. Do we have consensus that that the Southeastern Indiana Dance Incorporated that we want to recommend it for funding? And so if you can indicate with a thumbs up.
Yeah, and Tricia, I would remind you, I came in as an alternate for the Batesville Area Arts Council, so I did not review any of the others.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, so it looks as if the panel has decided to recommend for funding the Southeastern Indiana Dance Incorporated. Let's move on to the next, which is the Southern Indiana Center for the Arts. What concerns, if any, does anyone have? So it appears that Aaron Banks, Aaron Hawkins, and Lori Feldberg. Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
I will say the format in which the financials were provided in this application was different than the others, and I think it made it a little difficult to review. So I just encourage, maybe next time reaching out to Kris, the Region 9 partner, for some guidance there. Yeah, I think that was a concern that I had.
Aaron, are you recommending that they submit perhaps financials in a different format in order to be considered for funding?
I guess
Aaron, I can step in, actually. Yeah. So it turns out that even if that hadn't been required of the panel, that is a requirement when I go through to do the eligibility. I review the format of the financials, and so that was already a required modification that I had noted.
Okay.
So I will pass that along.
Thank you.
So Aaron Banks or Lori Feldbauer, do either of you have concerns about this application?
I don't have a concern, I just have a question. On the last view, is a pandemic plan a requirement, or was it something that we are recommending to the organizations? Because I noted that they didn't have a pandemic plan, and I think it was Batesville Area Arts Council did not either. I think that's the reason why I had an asterisk on both of those for me. Can I get clarification on that?
Kris, I think, can you feel that?
Yes. So that I might need Maya's.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
here.
here. Sorry, let me turn my video back on. So sorry. Well, number one, if we want to, let's see. Lori, you were representing Batesville, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So could we place Lori out in the waiting room for just a second, and then we'll bring you back in?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Just for, yeah, just for conflict of interest sake, let's pull those out and discuss those. So thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. So one of the reasons we asked applicants for again, thinking that we are focusing how we are funding organizations in FY22 on resiliency and their ability to demonstrate resiliency. If in reviewing Batesville, we'll start with Batesville first, and then we'll pull Lori back into the conversation. We'll talk about the other organization. If in reviewing Batesville, you felt like that a lack of indication of any kind of planning was a resiliency issue, and you wanted to see some evidence of that, or that you would recommend that staff see evidence of some sort of pandemic planning, that would absolutely be something that you would recommend to staff. Again, if you're comfortable with funding it, as long as staff sees some sort of evidence of a pandemic plan or resiliency planning, that is absolutely a modification that you could make as a recommendation then that Kris passed on to them. And that would be part of the follow-up process that Kris mentioned a minute ago, that funding would not proceed until evidence of some sort of pandemic planning or resiliency planning was going on. So sorry, that was a really long answer to a short question. So is that helpful? And do we need to sort of unpack and discuss that a little bit more as it relates to Batesville before we bring bring Lori back and talk about the other organization? And Kris, have I just messed your world up? Does that seem to your understanding of how we should be planning?
Well, I'm glad that Aaron raised the question, because I had flagged that with Batesville, but also wasn't sure as we jumped in here if if it's something that the IAC requires and needs to see, or if it's just because I don't necessarily have a huge concern about it if the IAC doesn't have a huge concern about it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, we're obviously concerned about resiliency. And if based on what you read and reviewed on Batesville, you feel like just seeing evidence of some planning going on would you think would help the organization and provide a little more guidance to the IAC related to the resiliency of this organization. Again, that it's a yes with. So, you are saying, you are recommending consideration of funding here, but that you think that, again, just to help, because part of this discussion and this modifications are to get the panelists' view on what's gonna be beneficial for these organizations. So at the end of the day, you think it would be good for Batesville to show some evidence, and maybe they've done it. They just maybe didn't check the box, or they haven't put pandemic plan or resiliency planning at the header of a document they've already put together. It's just an extra step that an organization could go through to demonstrate that they're thinking about resiliency in a more systematic way. So is that helpful, or have I just made it more complicated? Okay.
That was very helpful. Thank you. Because I wasn't sure the weight, since we're talking about resiliency, I felt like the weight of a pandemic plan might be a little bit more, heavy. So thank you.
Yeah, I would just add, in my review, they checked that they didn't have a written plan. but their resiliency in response to, their board meetings, their, continuing to operate, their switch to, the virtual programming and collaboration with the schools. I think it showed evidence that they were continuing to operate and do what they do in a different way. And I think, when you read the question on the application, it's not a requirement, but it's something for them to definitely consider. So, maybe they just didn't have that written plan there, but they seem to be doing what they do in a different way. So.
I think that's well said, Sherry.
So I think we can bring Lori back into the discussion.
Sorry, before we, I just wanted to get clarification on whether we would be or would not be requiring modifications.
If
Sorry.
Sorry.
so
Go
I'm
ahead.
so we've so does anyone want to make a modification to the Batesville Area Arts Council?
No.
Okay, you all think that it's
Okay, so
yes.
the decision that we made before stands. Okay, so I think
Okay.
now we can bring Lori back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kris.
Lori, apologies for that virtual whiplash we put you through there. So hopefully it wasn't painful. So sorry about that.
So I don't know, Maya, if you want to address the same issue now that Lori is back with respect to the same issue that was raised with the Southern Indiana Center for the Arts.
Well, I think that Aaron sort of brought that up as it relates to both organizations. So I think we ought to engage in a little bit of discussion with the benefit of Lori's expertise in discussing whether or not this group thinks that through the information the organization has provided, that there's indication of resiliency or whether there's a need for some other additional documentation. So I'm going to shut up now and let you guys talk amongst yourselves.
So Aaron Banks, I think that you raised the issue of having a concern about the Southern Indiana Center for the Arts. And do you want to just restate that concern or discuss it further?
My recommendation is yes. With it, just when we were talking about resiliency, I noted that they're in CARES funding, they had only received one, and I think on the application we were kind of noting that 2 was kind of a good healthy look at, and also and not having a pandemic plan. And I think with the 2 partnered, that was my concern. I don't know that I'm notably concerned about the resiliency at all. I just noted that when we were going through our checklist bucket list, 2 was we seemed like the 2 funding receipts were important. And they had 1. But I wasn't substantially concerned.
Do other panelists share this concern or have a different concern?
I noted the same. Again, new on the panel, didn't know how much that played into the granting of the grant, but yes, I noticed the same thing as Aaron did. And since 2 was a requirement, that's why.
Okay. Do you want to require a modification to the application or not recommend it for funding? Lori, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. Do you just like ask for suggestions going forward that they should seek additional funding? Or, I mean, I still think that they should be funded. I just didn't know how this played into your application process going forward. You know, if this is a concern, maybe, you know, a recommendation going forward is you look for additional funding sources.
I concur with Lori. I don't know, deadlines on some of them and whether those are still available, but if there is funding available going forward, just to recommend to possibly, dip into that. And maybe due to they're only getting one funding so far, that maybe they come up with a written pandemic plan that's at least covers the fact that they haven't received funding otherwise, that maybe there's an additional plan that they have that we're not seeing, or it's not being explained clearly. I didn't have any concerns at all about their application other than those two notes going hand in hand.
I'm
So
going to chime in and just say that so for as far as modifications go to require of the applicant, we can't obviously require that they go back in time and apply for additional funding, but we can ask that they provide a written pandemic resiliency plan, if that is what the panel would like to require as a modification.
And that plan could address development, resource development, and so forth. So that certainly, because that sounds like that's kind of where the panel's discussion is focusing at the moment. It would seem like that certainly could be part of it.
So I see heads nodding, and just sort of to try to recap this, it sounds like the modification that people are looking for is a written pandemic resiliency plan that also makes perhaps mention of resource development in the future. Does that capture captures what Aaron's concern was and Lori's concern? Okay. Aaron Hawkins, do you agree with that modification?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so the panel, I guess I have to read from the script. Does the panel recommend that the Southern Indiana Center for the Arts be funded with the required modifications cited by the panel? If you can all show a thumbs up. Okay, and so a note to the staff is, do you have a record of the modification? Or do you need me to state it again?
No, I have recorded it. Thank you.
Okay, great. And I think that means, if I'm following things correctly, that we move on to the last organization. Is that correct, Kris?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So the last organization that we're looking at is the Tree County Players. Again, it's one that had a yes with score. So what is the concern about this application? If anyone had. Lori, are you?
Yep.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know. Again, I'm new on this, but I did notice that they I know they had some deaths in their organization, and it took them, I'm sure it hit them hard. And they I think, stalled things for a while, and I don't know, if that's acceptable or where it seemed like they need a better plan, maybe. They did use that as a funding, method too, but Yeah, I was just, I guess and that was a pretty big part of their application. So I know that it hit them hard. So I was just concerned about financial well-being and kind of their plan to move forward.
I'll jump in there as well. They stated in the application that, and this may have already been completed at the time that the application was submitted. They were working on a written financial plan utilizing tools provided by the IAC. So I imagine that probably is complete. So I thought that it might be helpful to see how that plan played out.
I concur with Aaron. That was my exact thought. Same page.
Kris, have they submitted a financial plan after the application?
No, I do not believe that I have received that document that has been mentioned.
So it sounds as if the panel would like to see a financial plan as a requirement, as a required modification to the application. Can I get, does the panel recommend that the Tree County players be funded with the required modification of a financial plan? If I can get a thumbs up. Okay, great, thank you. And so, Kris, do you have record of that modification?
I do.
Okay, great. So that is, we've now completed the first section of the applications. So congratulations to everyone for doing that. We can either push on to the merit award consideration, or we could take a short break. What would people like to do? Does anyone want to have a break? Can't hear. So Aaron Banks is good. Okay.
Let's soldier on.
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and move to the merit award consideration. And as a reminder, this is a different process. In this process, unlike the last one, panelists will provide their assessment of the application's merit award submission and update their scores based upon the discussion. And so panelists, please refer to the merit award consideration list. And we'll start with the application from the Batesville Area Arts Council. And so I don't know if Lori needs to step out for this portion.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so if we could have Lori step out for a moment. And Aaron Hawkins is our merit reader. So Aaron Hawkins, take it away.
Okay. I think that this organization demonstrated a lot of creativity in providing a huge variety of programming within the schools and virtual meetings. I really was pleased to see such a variety of not only it looks like diverse art forms, but it sounds like they were able to make these programs very accessible to a big swath of their community. And additionally, the Umbrella Sky project that was mentioned in the application sounds like it is a big impact, but very achievable type of installation that I think will be very visible in the community and I think it's a great placemaking strategy. So I support the merit award in summary.
Thank you, Erin. Any new, additional, or opposing comments? So it looks like there are none. So please go ahead and finalize your scores and update your online comments.
Sherry has something,
Oh,
I think.
It's, yeah, I concur with everything Erin said. One of the things that was noted in their application that, in terms of community engagement, and how, they work with the teachers and they're listening to the teachers and responding to the teachers' assessment of what would be the best kinds of arts programming, for their students. And, as opposed to saying, here's what we're bringing you, but to listen and then to plan and deliver, according to the needs of the students. I think that's a really exceptional, notation, I guess, to make about an arts council. And I really concur about the umbrella project. What a wonderful community project that can benefit, not just the citizens, but the businesses, the organizations to be involved in celebration of that wonderful installation and to get that wonderful national coverage. That's a big boost, to a small town. So yeah, I just concur. I really enjoyed reading this application.
thanks, Sherry.
Sure.
So Erin Banks, do you have any comments any new or additional opposing comments you want to make?
I don't. Both of them covered it very well and had almost the same thoughts. I like the strength of the organization, the strength of their application, and I like Erin. I'll be anxious to go to the Batesville umbrella unveiling. I think that'll be very exciting, and it's really unique. The first thing I did was get on Google after I saw that, just to see what something like that would look like. So that's exciting, and I think it's an impressive organization.
Great. Well, thank you. And so if you want to finalize your scores, update your online comments, and then give me an indication when you are ready to move on to the next merit award.
Tricia and Kris, I think that's all you need from me for the rest of the merit evaluation. Am I correct?
Yes. So Lori will come back, and then since you've only reviewed Batesville, you're good to go.
Right. So I'll step away and wish you continued good work with this panel, and thanks for letting me have a role today. It was fun, and I learned a lot.
Thank you for filling in.
Thanks, Sherry.
Bye-bye.
I think we're ready to bring Lori back in. Welcome back, Lori. So now we're going to move on to the next merit award consideration, and that is the Columbus Pro Musica, and our reader is Lori Feldbauer. So Lori, if you want to discuss this application.
Okay, well, I'm not really sure what you want me to, how you want me to discuss it, but I did. So is it just a review of kind of the application?
Yeah, really. I mean, so we don't need to know so much the content of what the application is for, but you know, I guess, a constructive response about the application itself, its strengths, and maybe what, if there's something that you wanted to see that you think would strengthen it next time.
Okay, well, they,
And, oh, sorry, Lori.
no,
Just,
go ahead, Kris.
Before you get started, a note that in this section of the conversation, we're specifically discussing the merit. So not all organizations applied for the merit. It was an option on the application. So that's really where we'll be kind of focusing. If you want to bring in a little bit of additional content, I think that could be okay, but we're really talking about this merit award.
Okay.
And I guess the other is that we don't mention scores.
Okay.
Correct.
So I guess, should I go down like the merit? You know, they continued to reach out to their donors, and it did mention that, yes, a few times with financial supporters, which I thought was, you know, the constructive criticism could be more of an effort to reach out more times to their first financial supporters. Is that kind of the information that you're looking for? I did believe that they had, and community engagement too, which they continued to perform at some level. They did some virtual, and they did have some facility performances. They did offer some concerts locally, probably outside. Their fundraising was, they looked for additional outlets to perform fundraising, and they were paying contracted musicians. They used some opportunities for fundraising through those concerts, and they had focused on tours and small groups. And they did mention that they traveled to outlying schools and homeschoolers, which I thought was innovative, and that's where they underserved areas probably. I get, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
Any new additional or opposing comments? Looks like that is, oh, go ahead, Erin Hawkins.
You know, just that I think that they showed, you know, effort in kind of embracing they said that they embarked in new adventures in video editing. And, you know, I think that lots of organizations have had to, you know, stretch beyond their typical way of doing things and, you know, learn new skills. And I think that there was evidence of that in this merit award application.
Great, thank you, Erin. If there are no other comments, Erin Banks, did you, you don't have to, I just.
No, fine.
Yeah.
No, I again, being new to this, I thought it was a strong organization too, and I think I love the fact that they bounced back. It looked like they bounced back pretty quickly and didn't take a lot of a pause. That's kind of what I look for a little bit in some of this, is how their ability to see to the other side of it fairly quickly, and it looked like they did. I really don't have any additional comments. I'm all good with that. I enjoyed their application also.
Thanks. So if you want to go ahead and finalize your score and update your online comments, and then when you have finished, if you can give me a thumbs up, we will move on to the next application. Lori, you're muted.
Sorry. Are we supposed to change our score to?
You don't have to change your score. You can change your score if you think it's needed based on, you know, yeah.
Okay.
The discussion.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. if you have completed, if you could give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up, great, thank you. So now we will move to the Columbus Symphony Orchestra Incorporated, and Aaron Banks is our merit reader. So Aaron, and you're on mute.
I can't work two computers at the same time. I apologize. I was going in order and I had Dancer Studio up. So give me a moment to go to my notes. I apologize.
Okay.
Not sure how I did that, but.
Oh, it's the next alphabetical, and because the system sorts by the Columbus Symphony Orchestra.
Gotcha.
So I manually re-alphabetized.
Thanks, buddy. It's really okay. I just don't want to get outside my notes.
No, take your time.
There we are-ish. There we are. Okay. Well, I think that's where I am. Technical issues. Hang on. Sorry.
Okay.
My notes were very short on this. So that's why I'm struggling to see why I had such few little notes on this. It was a strong application with what they've also been able to do and back up or to bounce back from COVID. It looked like they didn't have to shut down very long, and they were able to go ahead and modify the way they were doing things with programming and presentation. It looks like they were very good at helping musicians modify to what they were doing. My notes were on the workshops to give the musicians an opportunity to do some, in lieu of in-person rehearsals, they were able to go to the workshops and kind of maybe fine-tune their own skills individually, which I like that. So I apologize. I don't have a lot of, I just came completely, I was ready for Dancer Studio, Kris. So there, if anyone else wants to help me out, I would appreciate it. I have, my notes are that it's just, very limited notes. And I like that, and they do engage the community well, and they have managed to engage the community well, which I think is, was imperative this last year.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron Hawkins, it looks like you want to add something to the conversation.
I just think that, if we're considering the, criteria of merit award over the last year being, an above and beyond pivot, I think that there's evidence of that. Looks like there was a lot happening virtually, and that they put forth a big effort to remain visible in the community, and perhaps were able to even engage some new audience members.
Thanks, Aaron. Lori, do you have anything new or additional that you'd like to add? No. Okay.
No, I don't have. I agree with everyone else. Yeah, I think it was a strong application.
Okay. Thank you. If you want to finalize your scores and update your online comments, and let me know with a thumbs up when we are ready to move to the next application. Great, thank you. So the next application is Dancer Studio, and Aaron Hawkins is our merit reader.
Thanks, Trisha. I think that Dancers Studio sought out some very unique and outside the box opportunities for their students to have the opportunity to perform. You know, I think that all of us and, you know, many organizations have had to do a lot of pivoting in the last year, but, you know, especially when you think about students who are focused on the performing arts and have dedicated so much time to that, you know, that I know that there was a lot of, you know, disappointment among young performers with things being canceled. And, you know, it looks like Dancer Studio really was able to, you know, seek out some new partnerships and, you know, that they were concerned and mindful of, you know, that experience for their students. And I was impressed by that. Additionally, they are reaching out to underserved. It looks like they were able to, during this time, either establish or strengthen the Alma Wiley Ballet Scholarship, making classes available to more underserved individuals. And they're also planning to invite local senior communities to view served population. So I think that they did an exceptional job, really.
Thank you, Erin. Are there any new, additional, or opposing comments?
I have a comment, and I just found it kind of refreshing. Not only was their focus on the dancers, but they had classes for the choreographers and the instructors. And I don't know if that's normal in a dance group or not, but I thought that was interesting and a positive way to reach out to other students. So, and I agree. I think they did, you know, they did some very innovative ways for funding, not just waiting on grants. So.
Thank you, Lori.
Those were similar to my notes, and I like that they were still being able to maintain serving the underserved, and focusing on not only who comes into their organization, but everyone that's within their organization. Sometimes we get focused on our mission and we don't really get down the weeds on application for mission. And it looks like with this, they were able to kind of modify and be able to still maintain that.
Trisha, you're on mute.
Thank you, Erin, because I thought I am again having technical problems. I'm watching her talk thinking, oh Lord, you're.
So thank you all. Thank you, Erin. If you want to finalize your scores and update your online comments, and give me a thumbs up when you have completed, and we will move on to the next application. Great, thanks everyone. So the next Merit Award consideration is for the Dearborn Highlands Arts Council, and Erin Banks, you are our merit reader.
Thank you. I feel like their application was very, very, I love the details. The detail to this really gave us a good bit, I feel like a good visual. It looks like they have many partners, which is extremely healthy. It looks like, and they also serve a large population, a large diverse population. It looks like they were able to stay with what they do. I think it looks like they get out of the traditional box in probably population served or demographic served. And it looks like with the affordability issue, they're able to pull that together with their partnership. So again, I enjoyed reading what their organization's doing and how they're able to push through what we've been up to. So that's really all I have in my notes. It looked like they accessed everything that was available to them and used it to their best ability.
Thanks, Erin. Any new additional or opposing comments?
My comments were that this organization has some really clear goals and is doing a great job of being, looking at their work in a kind of data-driven way and doing analysis. I enjoyed that, and I think that it really strengthened their application. Also made note of the wide variety and number of partnerships and their work with underserved populations, and also their great commitment to inclusion and diversity.
Thank you, Erin. Lori, did you have anything new or additional to add to that?
No, I really enjoyed reading their application, and from the technical side, I liked seeing the word SWOT analysis in there, and re-energizing based on the feedback that they got. And I think that's a very good quality in an organization to kind of go back and see what worked, what didn't, and how can we improve. So.
Okay, great, thank you all. So if you want to go ahead and finalize your scores and update your online comments, and let me know with the old thumbs up when you've done that. Great, thanks everyone. So now we will be taking a look at the Southeastern Indiana Dance Incorporated, and Lori Feldbauer is our merit reader.
Lori, you're muted.
Here I go. They offer scholarships. I thought that was very positive. Most of their performances were free of charge. They also offered online dance classes to their students to try to keep them engaged during the pandemic. And they also partnered with some other organizations to use their space for concerts.
Thank you, Lori. Any new, additional, or opposing comments from Erin Hawkins?
I have nothing to add. I'm good to move on.
I apologize. I'm the same. I have nothing to add.
No, that's okay. So go ahead and finalize your scores and update your online comments. And when you are done, give me a thumbs up. Okay, thanks everyone. So we are moving on to the final application for the Merit Award, and this is Southern Indiana Center for the Arts, and Aaron Banks is our merit reader.
And actually, we have some behind the scenes rejiggering going on, and so Aaron Hawkins will now be the merit reader.
Okay, Aaron Hawkins.
I wrestled it away from her. There is evidence that there was some pivoting to virtual programming, and also a physically distance painting club that met regularly. I imagine that was a welcome diversion in those early days of the pandemic that probably filled a big gap for the individuals who were participating there. Also, evidence of serving some underserved individuals that had financial need, so I appreciated that. My only comment was, and like I said, there is evidence of pivoting to online and virtual programming, but it wasn't clear just in the way that the application was written that was in direct response to input from their constituents. And I think that probably is just feedback for next time for writing the grant. I imagine that they did solicit some feedback, but it just wasn't clear in the application.
Thank you, Aaron. Any other comments, new comments, additional posing from Aaron or Lori?
I have no additional comments. My thoughts are the same. I think it was a little bit unclear, and they didn't bounce back they weren't able to kind of bounce back as quickly. But then again, they were able to still do multiple services and provide services for multiple different populations and demographics. So, yeah.
So if you would please finalize your scores and update your online comments and give me a thumbs up when you have done so. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. This concludes the fiscal year 2022 Organization Support Panel for Region 9. Applicants will be notified of the status of their grant following the June Indiana Arts Commission meeting. And if you have any questions, please contact Kris Roberts, the Region 9 Program Manager. And thank you.